All right. So welcome everyone to our webinar. And if you just a heads up, if you need to speak or like to speak, please unmute yourself. It's set up by default to everyone's going into mute. And I am here. Hello, welcome. And I am here with Lori and Adam and other people of the video team. And we're all jumping into this webinar, all excited to create videos. So I really do appreciate you all being here. And let me see here. And so the possibility of this webinar. So as someone who's been working with videos for a while, we watch people go through the process and we see, you know, what people want and then the breakdowns that they have in the process. So this is sort of like a primer of getting used to technology of camera, lighting, sound, and file management, and everything, and making sure you're powerfully set up. So when you're start editing your video, or you have someone else edit their video, they have everything they need. After your event, there's no chance to redo your event. There's some, and you know, it becomes more complicated. This is sort of like a structural framework to technology to get you through the video making process. So that's where we're at. And I have Adam Kilbourn, who's a filmmaker here, and he's going to lead us through a presentation that he's created for us about this to get us all going with the sound lighting, get us all thinking about technology before we even think about filming our video. And so, Adam, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right,
here we go.
Let's go.
So right now, I am.
You got to hang up your phone.
Oh, we got mute on. Gotcha. Okay, so now can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got it on my phone purely because here's our first lesson here, guys. I discovered this last night. Is that these headsets are really great that you can purchase. I think these are like $8. They're great, fantastic. They plug right into your phone. The problem with plugging this into your computer is that the computer's technology, at least my laptop, is slightly different. It doesn't recognize this as headphones and a speaker. It just recognizes it as a speaker. So I can hear things, but when I talk, the mic doesn't pick up when it's connected to the computer. What it picks up instead is my camera's microphone, which you're like, well, what does that matter? Because distance to microphone, or in audio world, like how far away the speaker's voice is to the microphone, plays a huge part in the quality of your audio. So I'm hoping that this is a little bit better than the 3 or 4 feet away from my computer's microphone. So if you see Adam's phone, it's just me talking, and most of this is going to be a presentation here that I'm sharing with you anyways. So with that, let's dive into our presentation. I'm going to share a screen, my screen here. So you should now see a PowerPoint presentation that says Game in the World Video Creation presented by Adam Kilbourn, President of Black Raven Films.
Looks good.
Perfect. We're going to fly through this pretty quickly. It's not designed to be, it's not designed to make you experts with how to create videos at the end of this. What it's designed to do is to share with you all the different ways that you can create video to get you started on this process. Most people I've found, if they've never done a video before, or they've only dabbled in it, are looking for just, hey, how do I do any of this stuff, or how is it possible to start? And so that's what we're trying to overcome, is to get you to a point where you feel confident enough that you can make this and And I'm going to request that everyone mute themselves. In fact, I'm gonna hit mute all.
You muted yourself, Adam.
Yep, that's what I did. Sorry about that, guys. Let's try this one more time.
Okay. So back at it. If you need to talk, feel free to unmute yourselves. Otherwise, keep yourself on mute so that your microphone doesn't pull focus from everybody else. All right. So some of my work, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of what I get to have fun doing. This is a video that we did. This won't actually play like in real time. You'll see images from time to time, but it'll give you a sense of some of the fun stuff that we get to do. So this is a car explosion that we did a couple years ago. And it's just to share with you that, like, I do know what I'm doing. So if you've got questions along the way, you'll get someone who does this for a living. Like my job is to make video creation here in Las Vegas. I own Black Raven Films, and from time to time we get to do fun things like blow up cars, or launch them off a cliff, or do kung fu films, or do regular old boring corporate video work. So that's a little bit about who and what we are. So as I'm sure you've noticed yourself, video is becoming more and more important in the world. This is 2017, year of video marketing. 70% of all internet traffic was on video. Even things like Amazon, which is a product sales platform, right? They're using video more and more because, as they say, everyone knows what a spatula is. But for some of these products, pictures alone don't do them justice. And that's something that we're, in our games in the world, what we're trying to create is stirring images, right? Sometimes a picture just doesn't tell the story. Sometimes a picture of a room filled with people, you don't really get a sense of what the heck's happening, which is why we're creating video to tell that story. And also just some things for you know, like, I don't know if you've noticed your habits on absorbing content or watching or learning things, but for me, I've gotten rid of cable and everything's gone on to the internet, and I stream an enormous amount of stuff on my cell phone and on Netflix and Amazon and YouTube and Facebook and Sling TV. It's all going online in the form of video creation, lots and lots of it. And so the cool thing about it is that as more and more content gets online, more and more technology gets developed to make it easier and easier for us to figure out how to do this stuff. So as a statement here is getting cheaper and easier to make content every single year. So if this is your first time ever making a video, don't worry. It's actually pretty simple. You'll be able to make a wonderful video in this process. It's not as challenging as you might think it is. So you might be asking yourself, how do I do that? There's video I've got to learn, and audio and lighting and editing and music and graphics and photo and everything. And we're going to fly through how you, in your world, wherever you are at, can start doing that with the tools, with many tools that you have at your fingertips. And if not at your fingertips, then many tools that you can purchase for very inexpensively.
Lori, will you put on mute, please, Lori?
Oh.
Perfect. Thanks, Lori. So before we get into your video creation here, right? Before we get into how you film and how you do audio and how you do lighting and all that other stuff, it all starts with a story. I can't say this enough. Stop. You don't need to worry as much about the how to do this, the video stuff, as you need to worry about what your story is about, right? Outline your story, pitch it to a friend, and submit it for notes before you even start considering to film your story, because pre-production, which is you figuring out what you're going to tell, is just as important as how you're going to tell that story. It's probably more so. If we in my line of work, if we do a bunch of pre-production, and outline the story, maybe even script out the story, do visualize, draw some boards of what the visuals might be, talk through how we're going to capture those things. If we do all that stuff a couple hours before we ever film anything, our videos turn out so much better purely because we spent the time thinking about how we're going to tell this story. And people say, well, I don't know what my story is going to be like. Well, that's what the pre-production is. If you go in just blindly, it's going to take a lot longer, and there's going to be a lot more revisions and edits and post, which, trust me, takes a lot of time, than if you just spent the time beforehand with a piece of paper and a pen, right? Write down what's the beginning, middle, and end of my story. What am I really trying to say? What do I want the audience to take away? What's the takeaway that I want them to have? Is there a call to action at the end? All those things start with an outline for your story. And once you've outlined it, grab a friend and a cup of coffee and pitch it to them and say, this is what I'm thinking of how my video is going to go. What do you think? And they'll give you notes. You say, well, what about this? What about this? And you can also submit it to the video team, and they'll give you notes as well, which is pretty cool. All right. So video capture, like the most important thing possible, video capture. I'm actually going to switch audio here. I'm going to switch audio here, which is going to cause feedback.
Love that. And mute that. And turn that off. Okay, you guys hear me again?
Yep.
All right, cool. We're gonna do this just so that you guys can see me here. I'm gonna leave out of here.
It is. I know,
So
Adam, when I plug
the audio changed slightly. That's because I changed the microphones. So video capture, web camera. So you should see my little face in the bottom corner there. If not, you can see my face. That's a web camera on my laptop. If you're like, I don't have a video camera, Adam, where can I get one? Well, most people have a laptop, and if they do, they got this little web camera thing. That's a camera that you can use right now to record anything. And believe it or not, me talking directly to the camera like this is totally doable. It's serviceable. There's tons of videos that I've watched online and have been of people just talking directly to their camera on their computer or their webcam, and it looks just fine. Just go ahead and look right into the camera, and it's great. The other thing, camera that you probably have right now is a cell phone. And you're like, but Adam, cell phones aren't that great. And you're like, yeah, they are. They've since the iPhone 6, these type of cameras have recorded in 4K video footage, which most video cameras don't even record in 4K video footage. There's some limitations to cell phones, right? It's a fixed focal length. It's got one lens and it's fixed at that size even when you zoom in. That's just a digital zoom. But it's for most people's applications, it's just like this webcam. It gives us a usable camera that we can move our feet in and out to get the shot that we want. It also has a challenge with auto settings. Both of these cameras do. And what I mean by auto settings is that the camera's going to automatically figure out how much exposure it should have. So I'm going to close my windows here, change the lighting setup. Do you notice that my face right over here, this side of my face on my, let's go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing. And you should see, stop sharing. There, you should see my face now. This side of my face is all blown out, and this side is all shadowy, right? Because I've got a light that's right over there in the in my room. The camera can't figure out how to expose my face properly versus the background. My face is really, really tiny in the screen. The background takes up a lot. There's like 2 of my hands background versus my face. So what's the camera do? It says, well, let's expose properly for the big stuff, right? The background. So the camera's literally exposing for the background versus my face. And right now, based on the amount of light in my room, the background has got a certain amount of light and my face has got twice as much. That's why this side of my face is blown out and it doesn't look very good. So how do I fix that? Well, I'm going to even out the light in this room. I'm going to bring in more light to hit the background to expose. Now the right side of my face is a little hotter. There we go. So my face it's not blown out, right? My skin, it seems to be normal, right? And it's not nearly as ugly of an image as before. And that's what lighting does to you. Without light, you can't see anything. So a lot of this conversation, we're going to be talking about lighting, but that's the challenges that you have to overcome with automatic cameras like your cell phone. If you're outside, or as long as you stay in one position, the camera is going to be pretty good. If you start moving the camera around and we go to there and back, right? The camera's got to adjust as we move to different settings in the scene. But if you keep the scenes in the similar spot, the lighting, then the auto exposure won't start going wacky and make all types of changes to you. So that's if you want to film with this guy or through web camera. It's totally doable.
Yeah, and then
Easy to.
Yep. And then the important thing with the cell phone camera is to hold the thing
To stabilize your shot.
Yeah, stabilize and hold it horizontally.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a sec, so hang on.
Okay, and then be sure, yeah, all right.
So next thing is you're like, Adam, but I want a better camera. And I'm like, okay, well, we can get better cameras. So what I'm pulling up here is what's called a point and shoot camera. These are cameras that have both the lens, it's a fixed lens attached to the camera, but you can zoom in and out. And these are dirt cheap. This is top point and shoot digital cameras for 2019. And well, dirt cheap is relative. This number one editor's choice is $217. You can get cheaper ones, a couple of years old models, are probably around 120. But all of these cameras here that you see there, that's the camera that my wife uses for her YouTube channel. She's got 37,000 subscribers. She's also on A&E Storage Wars, and she films all of her behind the scenes videos and all of her blog posts and all that stuff with literally a point and shoot camera. That's it. Just these cheap little point and shoot cameras. That's what she shoots. In fact, the first 2-3 years, I think she'd shot it on like $120 point and shoot. It doesn't. The technology is so advanced compared to years ago that you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get a quality image with that type of stuff. So that's a point and shoot camera. You're like, but I've got ridiculous amounts of money, and I've heard that DSLRs are better. DSLRs, like these guys, like this D850 or the Canon 5D or the 60. All these are great, but you're starting to spend lots and lots of money, and most people don't necessarily want to do that. So if you've got a DSLR, great, use it. If not, don't think you need to go out and buy one of these things in order to make quality video. The new tech out there is called mirrorless cameras. That's like this Sony A7S, or excuse me, A7, that's A7R3. These are, again, detachable lens mounts, very expensive, not necessary to get quality footage for your stuff. You can, for what our intents and purposes are, is to tell a story. The image quality is not that important in comparison to your story. Your story is the most important thing. And I'll be much more interested in you telling an interesting story than if you've got the most beautiful image you can possibly imagine that I'm looking at. So that's some things just to think about as far as you're like, Adam, how do I capture footage? I kid you not. My first couple of videos I shot on a cell phone. They still work. They still look amazing. Okay. Don't think you got to spend a bunch of money on equipment in order to make good stuff. All right. Start with this. You'd be surprised. Lastly is what Bob was saying earlier, which is stabilizing your footage. Well, actually, it's two things. One, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that my face pops up again. Okay, so you should now see my face and my cell phone. Here's the deal. This orientation of my cell phone is vertical. This orientation of my cell phone is horizontal, okay? Same like with a screen, right? When I look at my screen, this is vertical and this is horizontal. And I know that I'm talking to you like you're a 5-year-old, but it's amazing that people don't connect the dots, and this happens all the time. When I'm holding my phone like this, straight up and down, then the image on a cell phone fills the entire screen. But in every application that we are going to view this thing, which is not going to be on your cell phone, it's going to be in the big main halls for at the team weekends, or on YouTube, or on Vimeo, or on a website, or anything else. All of those areas that you're going to be watching this video, it's not going to be vertical like this. It's all going to be horizontal in a 16:9 aspect ratio or widescreen aspect ratio. So if I film it like this, straight up and down, and then I put it into my video to play back later, instead of having an image that fills the entire screen, it looks all pretty and looks like I knew what I was doing, it's going to be really tiny. It's going to have black bars on both sides. And it's just going to kind of look weird. And you'd be like, oh man, why is that the case? It's because you filmed it like this. So if you're filming footage of your amazing event or taking photographs or anything like that, try as much as you can to film it horizontally, because that's how you're ultimately going to be viewing it in the main hall, is horizontally. So that's the first thing. Okay. Second thing, and this has to do with when you're doing especially when you're doing your interview or you're wanting to get pretty shots, I should say, pretty shots, is you're gonna want to stabilize your shot. And the way you stabilize your shot is a tripod. This is the first and foremost. Get a tripod. Most of us have some tripod somewhere, right? If not, I'm pulling up this Amazon link. All I did is type in tripods. There's tons. This Amazon basic tripod, it's 15 bucks. You're like, but that's ugly, Adam. I want something prettier. Well, there's a blue one there for 40 bucks. Or this other 60 inches tall. That's 24 bucks. Or it's, you know, there's a ton of really dirt cheap tripods that are available. Now, they are dirt cheap, so don't expect them to do amazing things, right? You're not spending $3,000 to $5,000 on a tripod. You're spending, 20 bucks. But you don't need to spend a ton of money on these things. Why? Because all you need it to do is to stabilize your shot, which is like literally sit there. You could use a chair, for instance, if you needed to, right? Just mount, and I've done this where I've taken a cell phone and used masking tape and taped the cell phone onto a chair or onto a table or any solid structure that doesn't move. Why is that important? Because stability in a video shot makes for more professional looking footage when you're watching it. It's just, if you watch handheld footage, it gives you a feel to the image. Sometimes that's great. You want to do that. You're filming Saving Private Ryan and it's an action flick, or we're doing some kung fu stuff. Yeah, you want to be handheld. You want the camera to move. You want the audience to feel like they're part of the scene. But I can pretty much guarantee you that when you're talking about a seminar that you hosted or a doggy game in the world event or giving back to children at the hospital, whatever your game in the world might be, I don't need to feel like I'm in an action scene. I want to feel like I'm just solid, locked off, like we're just in it with you, just paying attention to the story, not the camera. And I'll give you a quick example of what that looks like. Here's me in the camera as the camera moves. How enjoyable is that? It's terrible. But if I just keep it solid and straight and it doesn't move, well, that's what I want. Okay. All right. I've beaten a dead horse.
Yeah. Well, and then also, if you don't have a tripod, always lean against a wall or a column, put one side of your camera against something stable. One time I used to videotape weddings, and my cheap flimsy little $2 or cheap flimsy tripod broke the day before, so I ended up taping it all together and just taping the tripod to a pew, and that kept everything stabilized enough so I could have the camera mount at a place, and actually worked out better because the tripod took up less floor space when it was taped to a pew than it was basically having a tripod at the end of the aisle. So
perfect.
So
yeah.
I
Okay.
have a question. Can
Yep.
I ask? Okay,
Quick.
so if you are actually filming something that is action, you still want to stabilize it, right? Like, so.
Well, right,
whatever
but
that is.
sometimes you just don't have the ability to. Like, bringing out a tripod to a bunch of places doesn't necessarily work. So what you can do is the old tried and true armpit squeeze, right? You just squeeze your armpits together, and you hold the
That's
phone. You hold the phone there, and you hold your breath, right? You go, and you count to 5 and you don't move. Because here's the deal, even your heartbeat's gonna make that camera shake. Your heartbeat will make the camera shake, okay? So you wanna just hold everything in real tight and don't move. Don't breathe, don't move, just hold it. And you don't need to hold for a really long period of time. So like I said, count to 5 on any shot. It's just really good if you're capturing B-roll, right? This isn't locked off interview style or any of that stuff. You're capturing B-roll, which is the action that Lori you're talking about for a scene, right? There's a dance that's happening. Someone's teaching a dance class or something like that, or it's a big seminar it's doing. Is just stand yourself really, really slow and count to 5 to capture that image. Most of the time, you will not stay on a shot for longer than 5 seconds. So if I'm capturing that B-roll, just count to 5, but hold yourself really, really still, and then move to the next location, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that you don't need to stay on a particular shot for too long, because especially for our purposes. I mean, you might have an hour event, but you're going to show 60 seconds, and of each shot, it's maybe like 5 seconds. Right?
And those would be really long 5 seconds, Lori. If you
Right.
held on
Few
on a
seconds.
scene for 5, we're cutting every second almost, and sometimes faster than that. So it's
Got
really if you've got a bunch of images to cut to, it'll be really short. But even those shots, you want to be really stable with them, right? So armpit squeeze, use a tripod, lean up against the wall, do something, but stabilize your shot as best you can, all right? So that's capturing. Next thing, and really, really important, is audio. So audio, right now, I am, that's what, 3.5, 4 feet to the camera, or from the microphone, right? I'm 3.5 feet from the camera, or from the microphone. Here's what happens when I'm that far away, is that audio, it's exponential, right? It drops off the further the distance goes, it like doubles, and as just like light, it'll drop off faster and faster and faster the further away we are. So if I get really, really close to the microphone here, it's going to sound a certain way it should sound better than if I'm way back here, right? Or even worse, a lot of people will stand way back here so that they're in the frame. The audio quality is just so much different because I'm so much further away from the microphone. So this is what, one of the things we're dealing with here is signal to noise ratio. It's all the ambient noise that we're picking up. I mean, I can even hear it in this room here, that my computer, the fan, it's fairly loud. And the reason that's a problem is because that fan is like 1.5 feet away from the microphone. So the microphone, the way the computer will pick it up and record that, is it'll say that's more important than me, who's across the room. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things here. So you should see this Rode video page here. This is just a quick thing on how to record better interview audio. And it's just a quick once over and everything. But I'll give you a example. You should be able to hear this. So this is
right now. I'm on a running kick, so I'm gonna go with LCD sound system.
It's like close to it.
Right now, I'm on a running kick, so I'm gonna go with LCD sound system. Right now, I'm on a running kick, so I'm gonna go with LCD sound system. Right now, I'm on a running kick, so I'm gonna go with LCD sound system.
You guys hear the difference on that?
Yeah.
One's just closer to her. That's all that is. Literally, right. One is closer to the microphone, or the microphone's closer in that first example. It's like attached to her, like a lavalier mic. And the other one is on camera audio, right? Just a couple of feet away. Shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it is a huge difference in the sound quality. And so as you're talking, and this really has to do with when you're doing your either voiceover or you're doing an on-camera interview type thing, is the closer you can get that microphone to the sound source, the better off you're going to be. Now, if you have only got your camera audio or your audio from the camera or from your cell phone, that's okay. We'll make that work. But if you can get like something like a lavalier mic, which I'm just going to link to this guy right here. This is a $20 lavalier mic, and this will connect to a camera or a cell phone or to a computer or to a bunch of other things. It's super dirt cheap, and it still gives you pretty darn good audio for recording stuff. So if I'm going to do I write my script, right? We're going to say, like, I've got a 60-second script about my game in the world, about what it is, and I'm like, hey, I need to record this audio now. I need to record this video. You set up your webcam or your cell phone or your point and shoot camera on a tripod, and you're like, man, I'm really far away from that microphone. So I'm going to plug this lavalier mic into my recorder, right into the camera, into the cell phone, into something, and I'm going to attach it right here to my lapel, right? To a shirt or to something. It's going to be like right there next to my face. That audio is going to be so much better than using the on-camera audio. Why? Just, it's closer. That's it. It's just closer. So something like this is a really inexpensive way to get really nice audio. And maybe you're like, well, Adam, I want to be like 20 feet away from the camera, and I don't want to be connected like with a line like this. You can set up your camera feet away, and you can plug this into like your cell phone and put it in your pocket, and you have yourself a wireless lavalier mic. You got to sync the audio up in post, which is something we can talk about later about how to do. But super easy way to make this, to get yourself a wireless lav mic, to get the recordings close to your face. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit of feedback, guys. So if you aren't talking, let's go ahead and mute yourselves.
I wanted to share that I just bought this one.
Yep.
With 6 meters of cable, so you can be really
Perfect.
Not close to use.
Perfect. And what does it give you pretty decent audio quality?
It just arrived 2 days ago because the previous version did not work, so I didn't. So, but this is a good idea. Thank you. Awesome. Well, what's really neat about that is, like, you'll test it out. It's not going to be $1,000 microphone system, but guys, you don't need it to be that. You just need it to be like decent. So, good stuff. All right. There's other ways you can. I have here an H1 is another way to get a recorder. Man, I'm getting someone's like hitting their microphone. It's like in their pocket or something like that. Or there's.
Here, let me look here. I think Laurie. Okay, Laurie muted herself.
Okay, awesome sauce.
Okay,
so the other way you could, another recorder that's out there, if you're like, yeah, but Adam, I want something even better, is one of these H1 Zooms. These are omnidirectional microphones, and this was my first recorder that I bought. And you can literally suspend it. Like if I was recording, you could do like a shotgun mic, but not quite a shotgun mic. It's more like just a close microphone. I've seen guys use these where they've hung them from like a tripod or something like that, or not a tripod, but a boom stand right above their head to record audio, and it gives really nice audio, and you could sound really full, or you can put a little screen over the top of it and talk. You can literally use it like this and talk into it like it's a handheld microphone. Just put a little windscreen over it, little $5 foamy thing over it, and you can use it like this and just talk right into it. Or you can use it like a wireless microphone system where you plug it into your lavalier mic, put it into your pocket, and walk around, and you're capturing wonderful audio because it's on you. So again, another way to do this, but you're gonna spend $100 to do that, and it's not necessary. All right, so that's audio. Get really close to your speaker. Make sure there's not a ton of background noise that you're dealing with, and if you need to use camera audio, that if you're like Adam, I don't want to spend any money, I just want to use my cell phone, great. Guess what? The closer you are to that microphone, like the better the audio quality is going to be. So go to a quiet room, set up your camera on a tripod or on a vanity or something like that. Set it there, tape it, and be close to the image. Don't be 20 feet back, because that audio is going to be terrible. Get close to the audio. If your head's really big in the screen, well, just deal with it. I'd rather hear you well than worry about what the image looks like. All right, lighting. Probably the most, well, one of the most under thought about things is lighting. We talked about before how these cameras, the auto settings on it are all goofy. And like if you change the lighting setup, right, we make it really dark in here, so just have a single source. I get these weird lighting things set up. So the cheapest and best lighting you're gonna have, I will say that again, the cheapest and best lighting you're gonna have is gonna be a giant window, okay? I've got a big window here. I got a big window right over there that's going to give me, I'm gonna stop sharing so my face pops up. I got a big window right over there that's could actually be bigger, right? In fact, I'm gonna go mobile with you guys. We're gonna go into another room, because I probably, if I was like, man, where would I film at? I would go into a room with lots of windows. Like these are, see these big 3 windows right there? I'd look for something with lots of light in it. That being said, I'm just realizing the background's white back there. So my stupid camera on my computer can't differentiate between the background and my face. So this might not be the best place to film in unless I can take it off auto and adjust the exposure with it. But from a lighting standpoint, this room's got the best light because there's so much of it, so much natural, really pretty light. I'm gonna go back in the other room and we're gonna talk some more about lighting. Find big natural light settings to do your filming at. And then you're gonna angle yourself in a certain way. I'm gonna talk a little bit about how to angle yourself to light. So this example right here, this lighting here, right? It's directional, it's about 45 degrees. You see how this side of my face is hot, it's lit up, and this side of my face is dark. Not the most flattering light, okay? It's 2 directional. So what we wanna do is like just angle ourselves a little bit closer to that light source, like turn my face to it. This is about a 30 degree, right? That's about 30 degrees off right there. I get still a little bit of directional light, right? It gives a little bit of that Rembrandt, that shadow there, but not too much, right? This is too much shadow, right? I look very dramatic. And I go back towards the light. Now it's just slightly directional. I don't want to be straight on, right? Ah!
Oh no.
Yeah, spilled coffee. Well, luckily I'll clean it up later. Okay, so this is straight on. I normally don't film straight on camera stuff, right? Lighting stuff. Because what it does is it kind of washes my face out. There's no dimensionality with it. So if I go to a big bay window, I probably wouldn't be like straight on with the window. I wouldn't be staring at the window where it comes straight in on me like that. I'd probably just shift myself just ever so slightly at about a 30 degree, just to give myself a little bit of depth and dimension to it. So when you're going to set yourself up, you're like, Adam, I'm going to go record an interview of my face, my beautiful, amazing face. Well, sorry guys, I'm just cleaning up the cotton right over here. I thought it was empty. I thought I was going to get away with
And also, as you're recording yourself, as Adam is talking and cleaning, he's framed his head really well into camera shot. So you want, when you're filming your video, you want to be framed as like what do you call it, as a 3/4 headshot. There's a special name for that. You just see your shoulders and the top of your head, because you get this instant connection.
So you can. So this is me. So what Bob's talking about is how I frame myself. I'm going to frame typically. If I'm on camera, if I'm talking into camera, I'm like, hey guys, how you doing? Blah blah blah. Right. I'm gonna frame myself to the center of the frame, looking at the camera. That's typically how you're going to do. But don't think you have to do that. You could
Right.
do like off to the side. You could do like a 3/4 shot. Maybe you've got something really pretty over here, like that this wire mannequin thing. Like, I want to show that off. Okay, you can do this shot. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm talking into the camera. I'm on the one of the axis here. One of these I'm a third of the way over here. Or you can do the other way. You're like, no, I want that door over there to be it. You can do it on this side.
Yeah.
This, or this will work. You just want to think about, why am I doing it? Most of the time, the power position for talking direct into camera is going to be right in the center. So frame yourself up nice in the center. Talking head, this is nice. It's nice because I can be fairly close to the microphone. If you're like, no, I want to do a full body shot, head to toe, which I probably wouldn't suggest, but if you're like, I want to do that, great. But set yourself up with a wireless, some sort of microphone system that the microphone where I'm talking stays close to you. So that is a little bit of lighting. Avoid top-down lighting. That's going to look like, I'm going to go, sorry, I need to share that again. Share.
And also, when you're framing your shot, be aware of what's behind you.
I saw those notes, Bob. Most people don't worry too much about it. Like the fact that I've got light switches in the background and all this. It's
that was a little over the top. Those notes were.
More importantly, if I'm big in the frame, it'll be fine. If I'm really large in the frame, if I'm the central focus, that's all you're going to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're smaller in the frame, your eye is going to be taken away.
We want to be intimate. We want to feel like we're close to you. So the closer you are to the camera, the closer I'm going to feel to you. It's just natural. It's like you're talking. Think about, if I was talking to you face to face, you wouldn't want to talk to me when I'm 20 feet away.
Right.
Okay, so avoid top-down lighting. We call these raccoon eyes, right? You should see this picture of this lady with the light directly overhead. And so that's why if you're going to use natural lighting, like from a big bay window or something like that, that should be directional from the side. It'll be a more flattering light than maybe a pin light that's directly over top of your head. That's going to give you these raccoon eyes. So if you're at an event at night and it's using you're using the lighting that's in the room, it's not sunlight, but it's like man-made light, then just pay attention that you're not standing directly underneath a can light, right? Maybe step back 2 or 3 feet so that you don't have this top-down lighting for you that's giving you these raccoon eyes. Also, you're like, Adam, I want to be able to film this at night and have like really pretty lighting that's like studio looking lighting. It's like, okay, well, we can do that too. So how do we do this? Oh, I'm going to play this here.
Hey, I'm Chris from Wistia, and this is the DI.
Okay, so this is this dude's setup, right? Which you should be able to, yeah, you can see that. This DIY setup here is, he's got 2 $10 can lights that he bought at Home Depot. These little can lights, they're $10 a piece, and he put a regular old light bulb into them, and then he put some like wax paper in front of them, and that he did it on both sides. I probably would have just done it to one side versus both sides, but it gives him a really pretty look, right? It's that look from both sides, kind of directional on both sides of his head, with a clean background in the back there. This cost him all of $10. Well, he had to attach something to it, so technically he bought the light stands. But if you just wanted to attach them to like something else, or maybe you got a couple of large lamps at home you already got, that's all they're doing here for this type of DIY lighting is he's using really cheap materials, really cheap, easy to get materials to film something. So you could do this exact same setup in your own house. You're like, I want to record a really pretty interview of myself in front of like a clean background. You just go find a blank wall that you could record in front of, set up some lights like this using cheap $10 can lights, or maybe a lamp from your house, and you got really easy made light. It doesn't have to be super expensive in order to make this stuff work. And if you did want to, you're like, Adam, I want to buy some cheap Amazon lighting. these lightings here. It's like $70 for these two. For these two soft boxes, you can get for $70 shipped by Amazon, and it's super easy and inexpensive. All right, that's lighting. Cheap stuff is the sun, and avoid the top-down stuff. We're not going to really go into editing too much here because we just wanted to spend our time on capturing the video that we're going to get. But just so that you know, YouTube's got some basic editing. iMovie and Windows Movie Maker's got some basic video editing. Adobe Creative Cloud has got a cheap $20 a month subscription to it. Or what we've talked about quite a bit is DaVinci Resolve, which is free. It's entirely free. It's a very professional, robust editing suite, and it's free. And you're like, but Adam, I have no idea how to do any of that stuff. Don't worry, there's YouTube University. There's an enormous amount of videos on how to edit stuff that you can dive into and learn about. You know, crash courses and how to use DaVinci Resolve, right? So that's all on YouTube. It's all for free and very easy to get your hands on. All right, so that's for editing stuff. Music, you're like, Adam, I want some really sweet music to be in the background. We purchase music, royalty-free music from Pond5 or Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle is like dramatically cheaper. Songs on Pond5 usually about $35 to buy them. Audio Jungle is anywhere from $5 to $15, or just go to a free music archive to get music for that type of stuff. And Bob, do you guys don't you use the same song for each piece? Is that, or is each
Yeah,
video
so
its own?
so in the YouTube, YouTube's got an audio library with lots of music, and that's where I point a lot of people to.
Okay.
Is the audio library, and then there's channels on YouTube that are dedicated to royalty-free music that you can use. So
That are
yeah, there's a
free.
lot of sources, and that are free. The reason why we're sticklers about it is because when we post the video, when you create your video and we post it onto YouTube, we don't want someone else's copyright claim on your video. So
Right.
royalty-free music is a way. So you can't have your favorite Journey song or whatever it is to be with your video, because then Journey would claim copyright on your video. You want
Right.
the copyright to belong to yourself.
Yeah, so that's where you, like I said, if you want the free stuff, that YouTube's got a free video or audio library, or this free music archive, or like I said, if you're wanting something really specific at a little bit, maybe it's a little higher quality of things, then Audio Jungle or Pond5, really it's inexpensive to purchase some of that music. And don't be surprised if music is a big key part to your video, because
Right.
it's the emotion, right? It's going to help tell that story. So we usually spend a fair amount of time just thinking about the song, like what's the feeling that we want for this type of video? What's, do I want to pull at the heartstrings, or do I want crescendo rising up, really awesome stuff, right? So that's you want to think a little bit about that and kind of curate that to fit your story specifically. Graphics and text, you're like, hey, I want to do like titles, I want to have my name pop up or all that stuff. There are free online video text things to do, but honestly, I'd say just use your nonlinear editor, your NLE, like a Premiere Pro or DaVinci, to add text to your video. And there's YouTube tutorials on how to use that. It's very simple to do. Just basic text graphics, super simple, right? Not an overly complicated thing. The only thing I would suggest from a graphic standpoint is if you pick one text, don't switch it out halfway through. Use the same text, just the fonts. Sorry, if you pick one font, don't swap it out halfway through, or use like 20 different fonts. It gets cluttered. Simple, pick one font and go with it.
And we'll go into that when we do the. We'll go into the text and stuff. We'll go into the editing part. And another thing with sound is one video maker from from London. It was the kids playing bridge. He captured ambient sound from the event, and then he mixed it into the final cut of the video.
Right.
But the thing is, it really added, like having ambient sound, mix it in there, and then you can have control over both the ambient soundtrack and the voice track. So then the voice track is on top.
Hey, Adam, is this PowerPoint going to be available to us?
I've got it even better. I got a 2-page PDF with all these links. So that we can send it out. Yeah. Nobody wants PowerPoints. Come on.
That's true.
This file wrappers exporting thing, the thing you just need to look for is H.264, H.264, and MP4 versus MOV. There's just wrappers for it. This is just settings. I don't want to bore you with like the specifics of it, but long story short, when you're done editing your video, you got to get it out in a usable format. So we typically are going to export that all in H.264. Photo editing is a big thing. A lot of you guys are going to have photos that you want to use in your video. And so feel free to do some basic editing with this stuff. Either in your nonlinear editor, you can do some basic color correction for those things, or if you want to put on filters or any of that type of stuff, you can do all those editing, the editing to the images and then export it and bring it into your editing software. Some of the editing things that are out there, Lightroom is with Adobe. There's online photo editing, free online photo editing apps that you can download. My phone app that I use is Snapseed. That's a Google camera or a photo editing program, or Photoshop or Canva. Is, you know, these are all things to just spend a little bit of time to enhance your photos. And most of the time you don't need to do a lot, right? It's just a quick little adjustment here or there. So it's, if you want to do some photos, you can throw those in there as well. I had like 2 food for thoughts here. So let me walk you through if I was going to film my game in the world, right? I had an event and I was going to film it. This is what I would do. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to stop the share so you can see my face. See my face. Come in and check me out. Okay. I'm filming. I want to tell my story, right? I got this dogs for seniors, right? That's my game in the world. We're going to connect dogs with senior citizens. Dogs from a shelter with senior citizens. And I'm throwing an event and we're going to have like 20 people there. And it's coming up here on March 22nd. I want to ultimately make a video for this whole thing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up at the event and I'm going to start taking photos and video of everything I possibly can at that event, right? I'm not going to worry about, well, am I going to use this later or not? I'm just going to capture it because this is a one-time thing. It's only happening March 22nd, right? So I'm going to run around. I'm going to film stuff. I'm going to use my armpit hold thing. I'm going to film things. I'm going to go in close. I'm going to get down low. I'm going to go up high. I'm just going to film as much as I can. I'm going to take photos. I'm going to do lots of selfies with people. I'm just going to capture as much as I can, right? Maybe a whole hour of capturing. And if I'm having to host the whole thing, I might have a team member that's going to film and take photos for me, right? I'm going to say, hey, here's my camera. Run around. Film as much stuff, right? Use your armpit trick. Get in close. Get in up high. Get in down low. Take as much as you can for a full hour. I'm just going to capture as much stuff as I can. Then I'm probably going to go around and interview a couple of people, really short, maybe 30 or 60 seconds. I'm just going to ask them to tell me what the heck's happening around here. And if I'm capturing with cell phones, hopefully it's not too loud in the space that I'm at, but I'm going to capture like with my cell phone really close. I'm going to get really close to them so that it's being picked up by that microphone. Or if I've got my lavalier mic, I'm going to connect it into this, attach it to them, and or my camera, and I'm going to record with that lavalier mic to capture the audio. So I'm going to interview them. I'm just going to ask them a simple question: what's going on here today? Tell me, as the audience, what's going on here today. And that I might do for like 5 or 10 minutes. I only need like 3, 4, or 5 people to interview to grab that. I don't even know if I'm going to use them or not, but I want to capture it because, again, this only happens once, right? It's March 22nd. It's going to be happening once. Boom, done. So I capture that, and then I'm done. If I've done that, if I've taken a bunch of video of the event, a bunch of photos of the event, interviewed a couple of people, I can manage everything else in post. When I'm editing the thing, I can bring up everything else. But if I don't do that, and I want to go make a video after, I was like, oh my God, I had the most amazing event. It was March 22nd. It was spectacular. I had like 50 people show up. They were like telling me of like how great I am. They're like, Adam, you're the best. Your team's the best. It's amazing. And I didn't film any of that stuff or take any photos of that stuff.
and then I want to do a video, well, guess what? It's going to be a boring video because I will have no imagery to share with people about how amazing this thing was. So I'll just recap. If I was going to make a video about my game in the world, how would I do it? I'd film, like I'd be a garbage collector of footage and video, or a video and photos, right? Just run around, capture as much stuff as I possibly could at the event. And then I'd interview a couple of people, and probably at the end of the event, I go, what'd you think of the event? What happened here? And they're like, it was amazing, Adam, you did such a great job, and everything was great, and oh, your team was so amazing, and these people did everything. It's gonna be awesome. And then with that captured, man, I can make some amazing videos afterwards. But I better have done that, otherwise it's gonna be terrible. So once I got all that footage, at the end of the day, here's the thing. I did all that. I handed cameras over to people, and the event went great, and I filmed it all. Now I've got to edit this stuff together. And this is a big part that Bob is talking about managing large files. So here's the fun stuff you got to deal with in video creation, is that these videos are freaking massive. The files are huge. So how do you deal with all that? Before I leave the event, before I let everyone go off into their separate lives and things happen, I'm gonna get everybody who took a photograph or a video at the event to give me that footage, to give me those photos. I'm gonna bring a laptop with me, and I'm literally gonna be hooking up their phones or having them email it to me, or somehow I need to get all of that data to me so that I can edit it. One of the great things that's out there right now is Google Drive. So if you have someone that's taken photos or video specifically on their cell phone, don't have them text it to you. Texting compresses the video. It looks terrible. You will not want to use anything that is texted to you. So do not think that you can just have people, just text it to me. No, not going to work. Have them load it up to a Google Drive account. You can literally on your phone, you go, bloop, 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 and you hit share with Google Drive. And you hit a button, it will upload the original file to Google Drive. And then once it's in Google Drive, then you can share that link, right? So if I was going to be your editor in post, I'd say upload all that stuff to Google Drive and then share all those links with me. That's going to give me the original large file sizes that I want to use when I go to edit. Every time I think of this as like a Xerox machine. I know some of us might be too young to even remember what the heck Xerox machines used to look like, because nobody Xeroxes anything anymore. Is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy starts to look really terrible. And that's what happens when you compress things. When you can compress photos or video, it gets smaller and more pixelated and awful looking. And when I edit things in a video editor and I ultimately export, that's another copy of a copy. It's like, I want the original large file sizes to deal with first before I start compressing things. So Google Drive is a really easy thing. And you're like, but Adam, I hate Google. They're the devil. I never want to deal with Google. Guess what? We have WeTransfer. That's a free site that you can transfer stuff up to like 10 gigabytes in file size. Or Dropbox. I think Dropbox has got a 1 gigabyte file size thing. I'd have to check. Any of those will work. But emails typically don't work because they have a limitation of 15 megabytes in file size, and texts definitely don't work because those compress the snot out of these images and video files. So that's how I would do it. At the end of my event, get all that footage onto a laptop right away, and then I'm done. And if you don't do that, people are like, oh, I'm exhausted. This was such a great event. I'm so tired. I have to go home right now. Okay, then tomorrow, upload that stuff to Google Drive, upload it to WeTransfer, upload it to Dropbox, and send me the links so that I have the original files and I don't have to chase you down 10 days from now or 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now, okay? Lastly, yep.
And that's when you went through the cameras, that's why the point and shoot camera is so superior, because the cell phone, sometimes the cell phone settings as well, I'm just gonna, people will look at the phone, I'm running out of space, I'm gonna compress everything on my cell phone. And then the person has the images for your event, you'll lose them. Because they're in the hands of someone else.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Yes, that can be a challenge. You'll know about that before you start recording. If someone's compressing their video files and everything.
The key is to chase them down right after the event with your
yeah,
laptop.
get that stuff right away. Okay,
Yeah.
last thing, and this is the most important thing, most important takeaway, is that the story is the most important thing. No one cares how good you sound, how good you look, or how well you edited your video if they can't follow your story. Beginning, middle, end. All right? That takes some thought. Don't just like slap everything together. You are literally, it's like almost like creating a paper in school, right? Teachers like, write me an essay. That's what videos are. You're just telling what happened, right? Started here, went here, finished here. So it's got a process, and the story is the most important thing. Don't stress out. Oh my God, Adam said the lighting needed to be this way. If the lighting's terrible, it's terrible. If the sounds, well, the sound's got to be at least decent so I can hear what the heck you're saying. If my editing is so-so, all of those things we can forgive as long as I can follow your story. So spend a little bit of time about how you want to tell it, because that's, at the end of the day, is what people want. And authenticity sells, right? People like you being you. Don't think you got to be totally polished and everything's perfect for you to, if all your video was you talking to a camera and showing a couple of images that of what happened, that's a great video, because it's you telling your story, and I'm interested in your story, right? What'd you do? Oh, you did this, this, and this, and you're all lit up and alive about it? That's awesome. So with that, is there any questions?
And I want to be mindful of the time because we're a little over time. So we'll wrap this up in the next, an awesome job, Adam. So I didn't want to preface that. Step over you. So we're going to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes with questions. And make sure, and everyone who has joined, make sure you're on mute. So make sure you have to unmute yourself. And we just did that for creating a pristine space, a presentation for Adam to generate his powerful presentation. So if you want to have a question, you can either put it in the comments section or unmute yourself and ask.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Thanks, Adam, and thank you, Bob. That it was very helpful and a lot of great information. In the beginning, Adam, you had asked a series of questions when you were talking about the beginning, middle, end, and talking to your audience, and you kind of spoke really fast, so I didn't get what, like, I guess the audience wants to see or hear.
Sure. So if I'm hearing your question correctly, you're like, what is the story I'm telling? Is that what are you kind of asking? No, what's my story?
Yeah, to my audience.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, here's what I would ask you. What's your game in the world? Tell me about that, right? And you'll then tell me your game in the world. So no, what's your game in the world?
My game in the world is creating a yoga mobile unit that travels to youth organizations to teach yoga for free in underserved communities.
Oh, that's fantastic, right? That is succinct, well said, very clear. So that's what you're you start with that. So my game in the world is blah, 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 blah. And then you say, and this is what we did, right? And then you show them what you did, right? Because I'm assuming that you take that yoga into the city, into these underserved areas, and then the kids get all excited about it, and the adults get all excited about it, and then you do your yoga thing, and at the end, people are like, "That was amazing! You guys did such a great job." That's your story, and you might have at the end maybe like a call to action, right? You might say, "If you're interested in doing this in your community, let me know, and here's my email address and stuff." But that's in 60 seconds. You could start with what your intro was. You could then share with everybody how that unfolded in reality, and at the end say, and just wrap it up at the end. I really love this. It's lit me up. If you'd be interested in helping in doing the same thing in your community, please, or participating or helping, however, whatever your call to action is at the end, then that's how I would do it. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Adam, thank you for sharing. It's very helpful. A quick question for you is from no experience in terms of produce a video, and also you're talking about all about video contents. I'm considering do like a video book, Facebook ads. What's your recommendation as far as a short period of time that you can using video capture the attention as the Facebook ads, flashed into the audience?
Gotcha. So say that again. I heard there's a radio. You're doing a radio
Yeah, I'm
spot?
talking about looking to a Facebook as and using video.
Okay, so you want to use radio and Facebook ads. Is that correct?
Yeah, video, not a radio. Video, just the one that you're talking about. Produce a
Oh,
video
video.
ads. Yeah.
Video. Gotcha. But why do you want to use Facebook ads?
I think this is part, most of the time people, either in the Instagram or in the Facebook ads. If there anything you can suggest, I'm not sure this question possibly behind it. You have more information that you can share with me. That's what I know.
My question is why are you in this conversation about creating a video to share your story? How do you want to use Facebook ads, like the ads?
I just want to promote my gaming the world, so they
Gotcha.
can using the ads to fund us, more like
Okay.
Workshops, etc. This information that we can inform them with.
Gotcha.
Do you want, oh, sorry.
No, it's so
I
just
was
so that
gonna say, are you saying that you want to create a Facebook ad?
Yes, using a Facebook, create a Facebook ads, but using video, not like a flat
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got you. It's a call to action, right? So if you wanted to advertise your game in the world so that people participate, it's still the same thing as telling people about it, and it's a shorter thing probably. I'd be doing like a 30-second Facebook ad for it, and I'd say, this is what's my event, March 22nd. It's gonna be amazing, right? You're telling people what's going on, and I would probably have someone. I would either do it with a voiceover and text on the screen, like big bold text, because I'm scrolling through a Facebook feed. I might not hear anything, so bold text probably would be a valuable thing, right? Just to use Nono's thing of yoga classes for free, right? And I would put that as the big bold text, and I would do text with maybe a voiceover. So that if someone does have the sound on, they're hearing something as well. And you could do that. I don't know if you need to do, for a lot of the stuff, if I would be spending money on a Facebook ad per se, as much as I would be just sharing it with my friends and family and seeing how does that connect with people. Because Facebook ads is taking my money and putting it in front of various constituents, like different demographics. But I don't know if I'm getting I would start with like an organic approach as opposed to blowing money on something, right? How effective are you? Because this is part of the training and team management leadership program is how effective are you at communicating your message to people in your world, right? Not people that we spent money on to get them to listen to us, but like your friends and your family, and how great are you at inspiring them to then share that message with other people? So I might start with that first before I started looking to spend money on pulling people in. You could still do it, but I'd start with the free stuff first, which is
Right, enrolling others. Enroll
Yeah.
others with your word and actions. It's not like paying. So yeah, and then for your video, if you have like a website you created, you can just have a little screen capture of your website and say, this is the website I created for my event, and just have a little 3-second little grab for that. Then you can, because creating a website is showing teams and teamwork, and having people, creating an event, showing teams, showing a meeting, a pre-planning meeting of your event, and I shouldn't really say event, because not all games in the world are around events. They're around all sorts of things. So if you have a meeting, if you have something you can't capture images of, but you have a meeting of your team, you can have images of meeting of your team, creating something that's like raising awareness for global warming or something, or something like that. So yeah, good.
Lupe, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you for the recommendation to get a free feedback before implementing. That's a very good concern. And also the another question, based on the information like the link you're going to share with us, if we explore that, and how long typically, like as never done this before, it's going to take to put the video together, just like a
How long? Whatever you think it's going to take, triple it or quadruple it, because it's going to take way longer. Okay. But in all honesty, what I would assume it's going to take a lot of time, and that's okay because you're learning how to do this. Like, don't get discouraged. I mean, I'm completely self-taught. I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I've been watching YouTube University for the last decade and teaching myself how to do all of this stuff. It's a ton of fun to learn how to do it. So I think I'd start with capturing the story, right? Start with your event and filming that, photographing it, getting a couple of sound bites from people that experienced it that go, man, Lupe did an amazing job. She is like a rock star. Man, this was such a great event, and her whole team came together, and I'm just lit up and alive, and I want to go run a marathon now. You know, it's like we will appreciate that because it's real, it's genuine, it's people's reactional thing, and you capture that, and then you can start figuring out, well, man, I captured all this stuff. How do I turn it into a video? That's some technical stuff that we can deal with as time goes on. Start with just get the story down, right? Capture it.
And to expand on that answer is create a rough draft of your video and share it for feedback. You can spend a lot of time making the transitions and everything look really cool and magical, but if you don't have images or anything that shows you anything magical about your game, you're going to have to redo all that magical transitions and fading and stuff. So come up with a quick, dirty draft of your video. And the milestone for that is April 1st. We would like to see a milestone for it to be part of the Austin weekend. So, good question.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then keep your editor engaged, or if you're the editor, keep engaged and be right. They're ready for feedback and edit suggestions as you go through the process.
Awesome. By the way, Adam, you mentioned that your wife's very successful YouTube post now has so many of subscribers. So what's her YouTube channel? I'd like to see if I can get some like ideas or
sure
from her.
Thrifters Anonymous.
Thrifters?
Thrifters. Yeah, Thrifters Anonymous.
Okay.
Like her name is Shana Dahan. Shana Dahan. Dahan.
Dahan.
Yeah. And she herself is completely like I taught her a little bit of the stuff, but most of it she's learned through trial and error and just diving into it. And out of her passion for it all, she's the last 2 years, she's been a reoccurring character on A&E's Storage Wars because she's just good. She's great on camera. But it's not
awesome.
Technical. Oh my God. It's the most non-technical show you're ever going to see. It's like them shopping, and it literally, it's just a really cheap point and shoot camera that they're wandering around talking, and it's still pretty good. People love it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, briefly, Adam, first of all, thank you very much for this excellent overview. And second of all, are there any Bluetooth lapel mics that work?
That's
I was wondering if you had any recommendations.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do know we could. You know what? Here's what I do. I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to go. Type in Bluetooth lapel mic.
Also, what a lot of people do for the voice, for their video, is they use a voice capture, voice memo thing for their script. I mean, it's nice to have the personal connection and have the person on camera, but it's not necessary. And then you capture yourself with a voice memo app on your phone, and you know, that's another option.
I guess what I'm wondering, is it easier to have, one device recording the video and another one device recording the audio, and then spending your time merging those with some editing software? Or is it just easier to get yourself a Bluetooth lapel mic and then have your phone mounted on a tripod further back in the room, and you don't have that editing to do? Or that merging
No,
of
I
the two sources.
totally got the thing. The challenge with all this stuff, like I'm just looking here online here at Bluetooth microphone for iTunes, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to spend, like this one. This is $110, $112 for this little Bluetooth lapel mic it's this giant clip-on thing on your lapel. Yeah, does it work? Yes, it probably does. But there's the thing that I always look at is like, I try cheap and serviceable, right? Cheap and like reliable. And a plug-in on a cell phone, for instance, like I'm wired in a wire, that there's no radio interference, there's no dropouts on the Bluetooth connection. It's just all I got to worry about is tripping over this cord. So most of these, like that Audio Technica or the lapel mic that this guy here, this Mauno or whatever it is, and this is just one of many that are available. It's reliable because it's wired, right? It's got a little battery in there, so it's wired all up. So if you're gonna do this, if you want to be separate and sync them in post, that's totally fine. But it's just it's just a couple extra steps. So if you're comfortable syncing things in post, which isn't that hard. And by the way, for everybody else, syncing in post is your video is one file and your audio is a separate file. And you got to get those to match so it doesn't look like a really bad kung fu movie. So if you can do that in post, and it's not that difficult, but if you just plug it into whatever capture device you have, whatever video camera or whatnot, it's already done. And the conversation about audio quality, like preamps, like your phone, your whatever camera you use has a specific preamp, or your computer's got preamps. It's the recording quality of the device that's capturing it. It's not that important. As long as you are close to that, whatever microphone you're using, that's going to be your biggest thing that's going to tell you how the quality of it. I wouldn't worry too much of like, is the device I'm capturing on high enough quality to capture it? It'll be fine. And question back to you, do you have, would you be capturing it with Luke, would you be capturing it with like a camera over there that's separate from your cell phone? Like, do you have your cell phone available to you?
Yeah, I have a cell phone and another camera, and what I've done in the past, like I've been doing workshops at my Toastmaster club, and the camera's at the back of the room, and I'm quite comfortable doing, the workshop, and I'm moving around a lot. So, but the problem is that the sound's captured at the back. So if there's somebody in the crowd having a conversation anywhere between me and the camera, then my voice is lost, which is not useful makes the whole video unuseful, right?
Yeah. Okay. So just take your cell phone, put it on airplane mode.
Yeah.
And connect your lavalier mic to your cell phone and hit record on your recording on the cell phone, and that'll be one audio feed. Yeah. And then you'll have the camera audio feed that'll capture anybody in the audience.
Right. Yeah. So I could even use an old iPhone or whatever other old phones that I've got lying around just for the audio, and have my latest phone mounted at the back for the video, and then
and then you have two, and then in post you're just like gonna alternate between, right? Like the camera audio that's in the back of the room, you might, when you're talking, you might cut that out, right? You might literally drop the volume on it, so it's just I don't hear that audio, and all I hear is you talking at the front of the room. And then when the audience, as we're going along that timeline, as the audience starts to talk, we switch, right? Now I hear the camera audio,
right,
back of the room, and my lapel mic is off.
Yeah, I totally see the advantage now. Yeah.
And then when you start talking again, you switch. You have to do that manually. There's no like auto program that's going to do that for you. Okay. But it's not hard. It's like keyframes inside the thing. So.
Okay. And do you need to do when you start? Do you need to have sort of a big loud clap? Like
that's a really. Yeah. So that's a really nice thing, right? You got the clapper, right? That's a really great thing. You can just do this. That's great, but you don't need it necessarily. Most programs will have some sort of individual clip syncing up, or you can just do it visually, right? You can go, okay, well, I think, move the audio a little bit over here, a little over here, and you're like watching your lips, and you're like, okay, that looks like it's close. As long as your audio is within 2 to 3 frames, it's not distracting for the audience. They're fine with that. When it gets outside of 3, 4, 5, it's like 10 frames, then it starts looking like that really bad kung fu movie. I like you. You're back. It's like that's what we have a problem with.
All right. Awesome. Thank you
Cool.
so much.
Anybody else have a question? Hearing none, I'm going to say we're done.
I want to wrap this up, and I apologize. I acknowledge everyone, all 14 of you that are still on this conference call, and I will upload and share this. And if you want to email it to you, there's like a little chat thing, so make sure you put your email address in the chat thing. I wanted to do.
Hey, Bob, can you upload, can you upload this to the website, to the Team and Beyond website?
Yeah, it's just gonna take a little time, so it'll be uploaded by tomorrow, but it'll be uploaded to the YouTube channel. Oh, look, someone's got a nice puppy in the caption there. Hi, Tiffany. So anyway, I wanted to share. Oh, screen share. Let's go here. Share. I wanted to share. So does everyone see that? My screen share?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you're creating your images, I just have this one slide here. Make sure you have the video is about the kind of a few steps back. The script is about you enrolling others into what you're committed to, and then your video, you have images in your video that actually show this. So teams and teamwork. Make sure you have something like that. In like a team meeting, as you as a leader is perfect, like sitting around the table. Sometimes those are great images to have. And then the impact of others of your game. So showing like let's say if your game in the world is to clean up a park or a playground, have images of that obviously going on, so people can actually see the before and after. So people can see the difference that your team is making, and your team being a contribution to others as well. So like your team members interacting with people, you leading your team interacting with others, and how your commitment became a team commitment. So that's how your excitement for something, because the team is your personal excitement about something being expanded into a team vision. And when you're, Adam covered it so beautifully about once you have, once your event has come and gone, you're not going to be able to go, oh, we got to show images of the kids happy and smiling with their new playground. We didn't capture any of that, or something like that. You're gonna make sure that you really show all aspects of your team with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I have something to add to that. So when you're creating an event, you're obviously going to show the actual event itself, but to create the images of team, you can also include, in addition to the event, like the setup of the event and the takedown of the event. So these are all behind the scenes production that we all know, go into creating the event. And that's like your team members are putting that together too. So that's your team, people who are registering people into your event or setting tables, on whatever it is, the before, during, and after. I would shoot that, and then that creates the teamwork as well, and the planning of it, as Bob was saying. Like creating the planning part, sitting around a meeting with your team shows teamwork.
Right.
Sorry. Okay.
Thanks. And yeah, and then, you know, put together your draft and we'll be ready here for feedback. Let me see, stop share. I don't know how to stop that share. Anyway, so is there any other further questions before we complete this webinar for the day? And we're going to have another one. I don't know, Adam, are you available next weekend? We're going to have kind of a more kind of a post-production technology.
Yeah, I'd love to be. I probably will. I'm just gonna say no right now. I got a newborn
Okay.
that's coming in the next 2 weeks. So
Ah,
at some
all right.
point I'm gonna be a dad, and it's a new one, and so my life is gonna be completely upside down. So
Okay, so
if I can, maybe, but right now I'll say no.
okay. So yeah, then it's something. So we're going to have like a post-production technology. This is kind of like a pre-production technology meeting. We're going to have a post-production video technology thing. So be on the lookout for that. And I want to thank. You got anything else to add, Lori or Adam, before we complete?
No, I just sent you guys the document with all these links of what we went over today. So if you can get it out to the rest of the team, that would be great. And otherwise, have lots of fun telling your story, guys. And remember, the story is the most important thing. That's it. And that's all I got.
So Adam, I think if you can send the presentation file, because in the link you can click. If you convert to PDF, that link becomes static. May not able to click, so we can have to tap in or search. Is that possible?
You could, but I'm very confident in getting PDFs with clickable links. So that link, those links are clickable on the PDF file.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing that too. And thanks for everything, Adam. Did an awesome job.
Yeah, it was amazing, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
I know you're busy, and yeah, it was great. Awesome.
All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.